CSMI radio broadcast, Today's Christian Music with James Burkhardt.
And good afternoon, everybody. We're glad you're here. With me on the phone, live from Nashville, Tennessee, is Carolyn Wilson. Welcome to the show, Carolyn.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, we're very excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Yeah, what got you involved in Christian music?
Well, it's sort of in my teen years. I'd gone through foster care, but then I got adopted when I was 11 years old by a really great Christian family. And when I was at church, we would sing a lot of worship songs and things. One of the ladies at our church actually started teaching me chords on the piano. And we just sat down and she would say, this is the C chord, this is the D chord, and we just went through all the chords. And then I would just sit and play with music that had chords, for worship songs, and kind of go by ear and by chords, and sort of inspired by the Lord as well, and just started kind of from there playing worship music and kind of tuning my ear, to play piano a little bit more. That was probably about 15 years old, and then probably about 16, I actually wrote one of my first songs. It was just kind of a simple song to the Lord, and I was influenced by Christian music early on. Amy Grant, for sure, Michael W. Smith, and so I just kind of saw the impact that music, had on me as a teen and as a new Christian. I'd gotten saved when I was 10 years old, so I was kind of growing in those next, junior high and high school years and learning more about the Lord, and so I thought, wow, maybe I could, write songs. Maybe I could sing songs that would impact people, in their lives and encourage them. And so I got married in 1990, and I wrote a song for our wedding day. And then a couple years in, we had our first daughter. A couple years later, had our next daughter. And then I really started writing from there into my 20s, mid-20s, started writing from my life and experience and songs to the Lord, and I actually did my first full album, self-published full album in 1998, I think that came out. And that was just kind of my first major, attempt at sort of putting my own stuff out there. And so that was pretty cool.
Cool. Did you get any traction on that first project?
I did. I had actually did like a pre-sale, which was kind of different, but I had people pre-order before we even printed everything up. And so I had over, 400 people ordering the CD, which was great. So that kind of, we had it sort of broke even, when I paid for the CDs and everything. I had everybody sort of behind me, and then I was able to some shows and, dates and things with people and sing in churches, sing for, just anywhere anybody wanted me to show up. And then when we actually moved to Nashville in 2001, that album actually really helped me because I was able to become an ASCAP member because I actually had a physical work, that was for sale, and it was on Amazon. It was, an actual, physical thing. And so I was able to post all my, songs and become an ASCAP member and actually sort of open up my credibility here a little bit with that album. And so it definitely, still to this day, people will be like, I have your first album and I love it and I still listen to it. And so it's kind of cool.
Well, how was it different when you got to your second project, living in Nashville and being surrounded by, a singer and a guitar player on every block? Was it easier to work, or
it was a little bit different coming. The second project, let's say when I got here, I did kind of a compilation CD of, I'm on Reverb Nation, and they had a kind of a program where you could just sort of create, CDs of your music. And so I did some of the newer songs I'd had, kind of just created a little compilation and had something to be able to, take with me physically for some places I played and sell it wherever I was. And it was okay, and it I haven't done like a full blown newer album, which I'd really actually like to do at some point, but I've had the chance to kind of write more songs and actually get those out more on my Reverb Nation page and on my music page, and people can download them just more directly, that way. And but yeah, I think you find you're sort of a little fish in a big pond when you come to Nashville. It's like everybody's doing so much, and so you kind of have to find your own little space in the mix, how to find where you fit, because there's a lot of people doing stuff. So yeah.
Well, have you been involved in church worship ministry, part of worship teams, or any of that in your history since you've been in Nashville?
Yes, I've been able to be on worship teams, and that's one of my real joys. One of the churches we were at was the Salvation Army Church, which was right in the heart of downtown Nashville, and they were really more of an outreach to the community. I mean, just a lot of people who were really hurting and sort of down and out came to the congregation there. And when I got to lead worship there, the style that they had was a lot more just kind of an open forum, almost like a Bible study in a way, where it was just people could share their needs, and we'd pray for each other, and I kind of ran the worship that way too, where I just have people kind of share songs and sort of have more of an open format sometimes, where I wouldn't come with everything. I'd just say, hey, what kinds of songs would you guys like to sing, and try to involve people and just make it a more interactive kind of time sometimes. And that was really kind of fun to me, to include people like that. But probably leading worship is one of my favorite things to do. It's just a real sweet time and just a gift, and such a sacred space,
Sure. So how has having been a worship leader and involved in direct worship in church services affected your songwriting?
Well, I think it definitely it's to your spirit, to your soul, where when I go to write normal, go to my writing, I guess, it's definitely out of more of a direct relationship with the Lord, whatever I'm writing about, whether it's a song about my grandson, which I have, a song about my grandson, have songs, to my husband, songs to the Lord, whatever the subject matter, definitely is very directly related to my heart before the Lord, So when I'm leading like that, it nourishes me, and then it goes into whatever I'm writing, whether it's a direct song to the Lord, or it's something about my life, or something about, something else I want to sing about. He's very much, included in how that all comes out, So definitely affects everything.
Sure. Well, how do you find your writing different today than what it was 25 or say 29 years ago when you,
Mhm.
you know, when you first started?
I would say back then, I mean, I just didn't have as much experience as far as life was concerned. You know, I was sort of young and just getting started, you know, in my 20s, and had our young girls and married a couple of years. And so now I've had the privilege of, you know, nearly 30 years of marriage, 2 grown daughters, 2 grandchildren. And so I think just that experience of life changes the way I write now. There's just more material to go into it. There's deeper thoughts, you know, on different things just because I've been through some life, you know. So I just think it brings a richness that you just don't have early on just because you haven't lived it yet, you know. So yeah, it just gets deeper, I guess.
That's a good word for it. How do people get in touch with you if they want to book you or find your music? Where's your social media and you know,
definitely
all that kind of fun stuff?
Yeah, the fun stuff. I'm on. If you go to, my full name is Carolyn Rose Wilson, and that's what I go with online. So if you go on to Carolyn Rose Music, that's my Facebook page, Carolyn Rose Music. And then I'm also on Reverb Nation, Carolyn Rose Wilson. I'm on Twitter, Carolyn, that should be Carolyn Rose Wilson, I'm pretty sure. And on the Carolyn Rose Music page, it's got a book now button on there. So, you know, I've everything from speaking to people about going through foster care, adoption, just more my experience, you know, of life. And I love to just tell my story and just, you know, really encourage people with my testimony, whether that's women's groups or Bible studies or churches or whatever, and then leading worship as well, ministering all kinds of different places. So but there is a book now button on there, and then you can hear all of my songs on Carolyn Rose Music and Reverb Nation. They both have all my songs on there, most of them. And I think you can download, you know, most of them off of Reverb Nation. So that's, yeah, they should be able to find me at those places.
Good. Well, you know, we're going to be sharing a song with our listeners called "I Know Better." That sounds like something a little deeper. That
you want to know the story of that song?
Oh, we'd love to hear it. Go ahead.
This song I actually wrote, it's been a while now, but it was 2007, I think. My husband had gone on a trip to Israel with his mother, who's since now passed away, but that was the year before she passed away, 2007. And during that time, I was having quite a bit of upheaval at the house. I had teenagers. I had a family member who was living with us for a while who was going through some real struggles as well. So I was just kind of in a little bit of a crunch situation, and so I was trying to do everything on my own for a couple of weeks while he was gone, and just started feeling a little overwhelmed, you know, just life. And I was supposed to have this writing meeting with a friend of mine to write, and I called him and I said, you know, life has been such a roller coaster ride lately. I don't even know if I have it in me to write today. You know, I don't know if I've got it in me. And he said, well, why don't we just get together and talk? I told him a couple things about what was going on, and he said, that might actually be good, you know. So we got together and I just vented and poured out my heart. And he said, well, I say we start there, this is what you're feeling. And so I said, what is it when everything you just feel, the bottom drops out, and so we just kind of started there and this song came about. And he said, I kind of see it from Eric's point of view, singing to you, that you see all these, all this upheaval and you're just not sure you can make it, but he's saying to you, like, I know better. I know there's more in you than this. There's better things ahead. There's, you're going to make it through this crunch time, whatever, And so for that day, we wrote that song together. And then I had an opportunity. I mean, I felt it was very personal to me, but then I had an opportunity. One of my friends had gone through cancer, and we went to like a cancer fundraising, I think, benefit concert, and she ended up singing the song at that, at this benefit thing for cancer people, cancer survivors and stuff, and people going through, actively going through cancer treatments and things, and so she sang it, and then all these people came up after and said, oh my goodness, that's exactly how I feel, going through everything they were going through. And so I said, wow, I said to her, what a gift, and that's what songs really should do. They just reach people exactly where they need to be reached, and every person that listens goes, man, that's my, situation, or that song is for me. And so it just kind of came full circle, and I was like, well, this song that was so personal to me, just really saw how it actually touched, other people in a completely different way. And so that was just such a gift. So that's I Know Better. and it still keeps going.
And how close you came to not writing it.
How close I came, I know. And some of the best things, out of just your day-to-day and all your ups and downs. And, so some of your best work can come out of those moments where you don't feel like you have any more to give, And so that's the moral of the story. Just, keep pushing through, and then sometimes the best stuff, really rises out of that and can touch a lot of people, and I still hear from people that say, man, that song just encourages me in whatever way they need it to. So that's I Know Better.
Well, it's like we say, it's just keeping it real. So
that's right.
As a songwriter, I think you've discovered the secret is the closer to the heart and the closer to the pain, for lack of a better term, the more real the songs are and the more effective they are in touching other people's lives.
Exactly.
It's that emotional hook.
Yeah, and just such just universal, everybody's got something they're going through at any given moment. We have no idea what people are enduring, just day in and day out. And so, the gift of just relating with people and just finding a way to, encourage them and somehow lift, somebody in those things is, to me, just a huge gift. But even more so to think that you're thinking from your own perspective and writing from what, but then, just to see it really connect on a multiple scale with people is what you want it to do. That's what you hope it will do. So.
Yeah, well, that's what makes music and effective is it reaches people. That's why they want it, and they want to be a part of it. So,
right.
What are your plans for the future? Where are you headed?
Well, in the next month, I've got some cool things coming up. I haven't totally shared a huge amount of the details, but I have some really fun musical things where I get to actually learn from, some industry people and kind of go through some different sessions and things and learn. be challenged and just be included in some really neat stuff for, Christian songwriters. And then that may open up into some other opportunities, but I don't know yet. But I'm excited about that. I definitely would like to record, some more, kind of getting the itch to write a little bit more. I sort of went through a little bit of not really writing too much. You kind of want to have things to write about, There's certain things you go through, and then you feel like you have more to say and stuff you actually want to say. So I'm kind of feeling that a little bit, where I have some things I want to write about, and just get out there and play more and do more. I'm in a really good home group where I'm getting to do some worship music there, and I'm just getting to do some different things this summer. Hopefully I'll have some, looks like I might have some opportunities to sing and to share. And in June, I'm getting to go back and see all of my family on the West Coast. We're from Oregon originally. And so I'm hoping I'll get to, maybe do some songs and connecting and stuff with everybody there. Some of my old church groups and stuff would be really fun to do some, different things with everyone. So just, I guess, writing new music, possible, opportunities coming up, and going into the next season, just kind of see what unfolds. Kind of a lot of possibilities right now. So it's sort of me saying, what's the Lord going to do next? So.
Yeah.
But I know better.
Well, Carolyn, tell everybody else listening how to get a hold of you and your social media one more time now that we've really been blessed by that song of yours.
Thank you. Carolyn Rose Music. That's my Facebook page. Carolyn, Carolyn, Carolyn Rose Music. And then Reverb Nation, Carolyn Rose Wilson. You can get my songs on there. I'm also on Twitter, Carolyn Rose Wilson. And that should all be good. So thanks so much for having me.
Well, I've got one more question, and, we've got a couple of minutes, and I don't want to embarrass you, but you did something at the conference where we met that really made a great impression on me. And I've never seen anyone lead worship. It was in front of a communion table. Never seen anyone lead worship on their knees, and I think you did 2 songs.
Yeah.
And if you would just explain what was going through your head and your motivation, I think it would be very inspirational for people to hear, because it made a very moving moment even more moving, because I know that's not easy.
Well, what was going through my head was we were actually supposed to be sharing our songs, all the different artists that were there were sharing, their own material mostly. But the direction that the Lord was going, I was the last artist before the next artist that was going to, do the communion and sort of usher us into that. And just the closer that it got to me, I just felt like I needed all of the spotlight on the Lord and less of the spotlight on me. So I just was feeling like I need to have, the songs that are reflecting just his glory, his purpose, pointing everything to him, and just bringing people into that space of seeing him. And so I just got on my knees where I'd just be able to be low and be less. And those songs, I worship you. I worship you. I surrender all I have to you. I run to you and fall at your feet. That song just, to me, just brings you into his presence. And then the other song, we are following Jesus' call, to a place where the humble ones stand tall. Enter into the kingdom. Whatever else I've gained, I count as loss, And so just less of us and more of him. And I felt like all the artists, that was the heart that was being shared of the day. All of the artists, just everybody was really pointing that, light to the Lord and giving the glory to him. And I just felt like I needed to continue that and just, usher that in. And so, yeah, it's very scary. Yeah. I didn't even have any music. I did it all a cappella. So,
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for joining us today on Today's Christian Music. Carolyn Rose
thank you so
and
much.
Carolyn Rose Music.
Yeah,
all
thanks
right.
so much for having me, and blessings. Are you there?
This has been the radio broadcast, Today's Christian Music with James Burkhardt. For more information about Christian songwriters and musicians international, please go to our website at www.csminetwork.com or email us at cwnnashville@gmail.com.